Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans alike, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski, Sports Talk Chicago, one of the couple, two, three best podcasts around. So sit back, grab yourself a cold one and a Polish sausage, park your keister in the French room, and listen to Bill Swerski, Sports Talk Chicago.
In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose, as long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski, Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski, Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we've got the baseball rosters. We've got the NFL possibly shortening the preseason. And we've got what are the Bulls going to do while other teams are playing basketball. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. Sure, season's not going on right now. No sports are going on right now. But that shouldn't stop you from heading on over to icehogs.com. Get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, tickets, and more. And tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Alex, how are you holding up? Another week, and COVID is still here.
Yeah, at least the weather has been nice at times. It was hot, it was rainy, but today it was pretty nice. So at least it hasn't gone through one of those stretches where it's just like nonstop rain for like over a week. So there's that, the little victories.
The weather here has been nonstop fireworks.
You know, it's funny. We've not had that many out here in Elmhurst. I thought there'd be a lot more, but there hasn't been that many. It's weird.
I saw a statistic that from the same time period last year to this year, the number of calls to the police regarding fireworks is up 736%.
Oh my God. Crazy Kaplan's doing some good business.
Yeah, WBEZ was interviewing the manager from Crazy Kaplan's, and he was saying that everything's just been flying off the shelves since they opened back up, and it's all been people with Illinois licenses. So
yeah,
welcome
that sounds
to Illinois.
about right. That sounds about right.
And my daughter has, like, when you're 5, you have just crayons everywhere, because anytime you go anywhere, there's crayons. And I just picked one off the floor, and it doesn't say the brand or anything. It just says in giant bold letters, non-toxic. There's a Crayola one that says Crayola and the color, and which is razzmatazz. I didn't know that was a color.
That's a color.
It's razzmatazz. But this one is just non-toxic. So I'm going to throw that one away and go with Crayola.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have to say in big bold letters, that sounds kind of sketchy.
If that's your selling proposition, it won't poison you.
It might not be artistic, but it won't poison you if you eat it.
So yeah, there's not a ton going on, but we do have today. This is fairly recent. The MLB teams had until today to report their initial 60-man player pool to the MLB. So we do know who will be on the Cubs' 60-man roster. And have they made the Cubs list public yet?
They're not making it public until tomorrow.
Oh, my goodness. And the White Sox didn't either. We've got a bunch of teams.
Yeah, the Brewers aren't available for another day either.
Yeah, I don't have the White Sox, Twins, Angels, Mets, Phillies, Cubs, Brewers, Diamondbacks, Padres, and Giants don't have theirs available.
That's like a good third.
Yeah. The Orioles, for some reason, made theirs available, even though nobody knows who any of these players are.
Well, that's probably why. They're like, you know what? We won't get any backlash for this, so might as well release it anyway.
They just put fake names on there to see if anybody noticed.
They put like Alan Smithy and
they put, I don't know, Mike Hunt.
Mike Roch.
Do we got a Mike Roch here? Yeah,
B.O. problem.
Yeah, they just went through old episodes of The Simpsons and pulled those names out.
Do I have a B.O. problem? You sure do.
Wait, so they have a player on the Orioles, Dwight Smith Jr. Is this Dwight Smith, the son of Dwight Smith that was on the Cubs?
I believe it is.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, a little family connection there.
I know. There we go. Huh. Look at that. He's a left fielder. He bats left, throws right.
And he's officially the most interesting Baltimore Oriole now.
I mean, he's more interesting than Chris Davis.
Oh my God, Chris Davis. You want to talk about having like the weirdest career? Like, look at Chris Davis.
Chris Davis is a weird, yeah. That dude, he's making a lot of money
to strike out at that, basically. I mean, remember, he was once one of the most feared power hitters in the game for a year or so.
I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. And let's see. Let's pull up his stats. Quick.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up on Fangraphs right now because you're going to look at the strikeout rate and you're going to be like, holy crap. And then you're going to look at all the other stats too. I mean, go back and look. Let's see. His top WAR season was 2013. And 2013 was obviously when he was in the peak of his career. And that year, he hit 53 home runs, 7.1 FWAR, offensive WAR of 56.4, a WRC plus of 168. Last year, he was a WRC plus of 58. And the year before that, a WRC plus in 128 games of 44.
Yeah, and 2 years ago, he was a negative 3.2 FWAR.
Oh,
that's brutal.
Oh, look at 2013. He slashed 286, 370. He slugged 634 that year. I mean, it's pretty dang good. And then the year after that, 196, 300, 404, 127 games. And then the year after that, he came back to respectability. He hit 47 home runs, 262, 361, 562. That's pretty good. The next year, he only batted 221, but hit 38 homers. So you had a stretch of, regardless of batting average and on base, he still hit 20-plus home runs, usually in the 30s or 40s. But now he's just...
The crazy part is you read that really good slash line with the 634 slugging, and the crazy part is that season, he still struck out 30% of the time.
Yeah. I mean, he was able to compensate it with everything else. I mean, he's a career. Let's see, what's his career strikeout rate? It's 32.9. So
yeah, and last year it was pretty high. It was just a shade under 40%.
Think about that. Striking out like 40% of the time.
That's like Addison Russell type numbers.
You mean just puke?
That is straight puke.
That's Bills fan puke right there. And, it's funny. I don't really have many memories of him on the Rangers. And when he was with the Rangers to start his career, he was still hitting teens 20 home runs. And then when he got to the Orioles is when he became the big slugger. And let's see, how old is he now? 34. So he's not young, but he's not ancient either. It's not like we're watching Chris Davis do this and he's like 39, 40. I mean, he should still be pretty much in his prime years, but boy, you just see the dip. I mean, like I said before, even when you had lower batting averages, at least you still were able to hit for some good power. Now you're not seeing any of that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So Orioles still have to pay him so he's still on a 7-year, $161 million deal. And it doesn't, it's got this season, so it's got 2020, 2021, and 2022 on it. So there's 3 seasons left on this awful deal. And he went on an 0 for 54 streak last April.
Oh, I remember that well. You want to hear some of his defensive stats?
Oh, this is going to be good.
Okay, so, he's played a little bit of everywhere, mainly first base, but he's played some third base, he's played some right field, and a little bit of left field. But if you add in his entire first base, let's just do first base alone. First base, his defensive runs saved is a negative 26.
Oof.
Yeah, not great. His career UZR 150 at first base is 0.4. His career UZR 150 total at all positions is -8. Defensive runs saved, -3.
So what you're saying is that he's as bad as I am.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what your defensive runs saved are, but okay, yours are probably like -80.
But I'm not getting paid 7 years, $161 million.
No. I mean, at least when he was in his prime, you didn't care about the defense because he was hitting 40, 50 home runs. You didn't care back then. I mean, I'll say this again. I said it already. I'll say it again. 2013, a WRC plus of 168. I mean, that's top-notch good.
I'm reading a Fangraphs article about him, and they said, what they looked at other power hitters of his ilk at their age 34 season to see if there's any hope of him getting better. So, first up, Adam Dunn. Adam Dunn had led the league in strikeouts 4 times already by the time he was 34 in 2014, setting an AL record with 222 in 2012. But with his all-star year behind him and retirement in his sights, Dunn wasn't making any adjustments at the plate. By this point, it was more the White Sox were making adjustments around him. Jose Abreu and Paul Konerko were taking up reps at his position, and Dunn, the White Sox said, would be limited to designated hitter duty against right-handed pitchers. Even with this caveat, Dunn got 511 plate appearances that year, striking out at the same rate as the year before, over 31%, and watching his ISO drop below 200 for only the second time in his career. He went from hitting fly balls about half the time to a little less than half the time, and the percentage of them that left the stadium was lower than it had ever been outside of his miserable 2012 season and his rookie season. And then Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard had led the league in strikeouts 1 time at 199 before his age 34 season. But that was in 2007 when he'd also hit 47 home runs and finished 5th in the MVP voting. By 2014, he struck out 190 times with about half the taters of 2007 and an OPS almost 300 points lower. At this point, like Dunn, it became a question as to who Howard's numbers were even for. The Phillies knew they were going nowhere at the time, and Howard was, much like Davis, contractually along for the ride with a 5-year, $125 million extension he'd received. Any teams that could use some kind of slugging were not interested in paying what became $44,000 for every strike.
Ooh.
All of these players just abysmal. Danny Tartable, Brandon Moss, Richie Sexson. These are the players they're comparing to.
Man. I don't know if you saw this. Chris Davis' home run total in his career. Despite all this, he's 5 away from 300 in his career.
And you know what? I don't know what that's going to do for him.
I mean, not much, but hey, he'll have hit 300 plus home runs.
I mean, that's a lot of home runs.
It is.
But that's like 5 seasons for like Mark McGwire.
Yeah. That's true.
The home run totals are just crazy in his career. So 17, 21, 1, 5, 33, 53, 26, 47, 38, 26, 16, and 12. You can't tell me that he wasn't doing something to help him along.
Oh, so you're gonna go into that, huh?
I'm just saying, if the shoe fits, you wear it, and you wear it good. I mean, it's not like you just 53 home runs. So outside of, I mean, that couple of years span, like, he just never hit those kind of numbers. And so to have a year of 53 and 47, that's a big jump. That's a big jump. And then to never be able to do it again. I mean, the last time when he hit 38 in 2016. So that was 4 seasons ago. So he was 30. And then just suddenly to drop off dramatically like that.
I wonder if injuries had a play in it.
I mean, injury, health can do something, but just to see those kind of numbers, when you make major jumps like that, it's tough. It's tough to, I mean, you enhancing yourself doesn't make you suddenly just be able to hit home runs if you weren't able to hit the ball before, but it's definitely going to help you, faster bat speed and put some more oomph on it. On ones that would go to the warning track, they're going out. So, it's not like you could just put any schmo in there and roid them up and they're going to hit home runs. But a guy that's got some pop on his bat, suddenly he goes from 21 to 53. That's the jump you're seeing. So I have no proof. I'm just saying it's weird when you see a guy like that suddenly shoot up out of nowhere and then fizzle back down that quickly.
Well, as I said, he's had a very weird career.
I mean, it is. Like, there's no average. Most guys, like, some year they might have a little bit of an up and a little bit of a down, but you see some consistency in their numbers. And even or you see some pattern at least, they get better to a point, and then there's just like really good, and then they go down towards the end of their career. His has just jumped all over the place.
Yeah, very odd.
I mean, look at his ISO numbers. It's 264, 205, 100, 136, 231, 348.
348 in 2013. Yeesh.
300, 239, 208, 128, 147. I don't know. I don't know. I can't describe it. I mean, basically ISO is the isolated power number, and it's the slugging percentage minus the batting average. So, it's having 100 is bad,
to say the least.
And yeah, last year he was 147, and that was an improvement by 20 points. Oh my God. So if you're the Orioles, you have nobody to protect him in the order. You have nobody to take. I mean, I don't know what his splits are against lefties and righties and etc. So it's not like, and you don't have anybody else on the
They're
team.
both bad. Let's be real at this point.
I mean, Adam Dunn was bad, but at least, against righties, you could, he could really at least do some damage. But, Chris Davis is probably terrible both ways. Like, there's no way you can mask him in the order or mask him against certain pitchers or replace him in the order a little bit. Like, that dude is he's there. Like, he's their star player, financial-wise.
Yeah. I mean, what's nice for them is they're not expected to go anywhere, so it's a lot less noticeable
What are you talking
among
about?
the public eyes. So
They're totally expected to go somewhere straight to the bottom.
Well, hey, then again, with this weird-ass 60-game season that might be coming up, who the hell knows? I just expect the unexpected and the chaos within this season.
I don't know what to expect of the 60-game season. I mean, you know what is we talked doom and gloom before that we didn't think we were getting a season, and suddenly now it looks like we're getting a season, and nothing's guaranteed yet until they start playing baseball games.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you're hearing about these cases spiking in Texas and Florida, and you're hearing more teams having reports of COVID cases within the organization. I would not be shocked if we started camp and there were outbreaks in camp and they had to shut the whole thing down again. I really would not be surprised if that. I don't want it to happen. I pray it doesn't happen, but I would not be surprised if it does.
And while we were talking, the Cubs announced their 60-man player pool.
They just said they were releasing it. Oh, those liars.
I've got it. Right-handed pitchers: Jason Adam, Adbert Alzolay, Tyler Chatwood, Jarrell Cotton, Yu Darvish, Juan Gomez, Kyle Hendricks, Jeremy Jeffress, Craig Kimbrell, Dylan Maples, Trevor McGill, Dakota Mekas, Alec Mills, James Norwood, Colin Ray, Michael Rucker, Casey Sadler, Ryan Tepera, Dwayne Underwood Jr., Rowan Wick, Dan Winkler. The left-handed pitchers: Rex Brothers, Danny Holtzen, John Lester, Braylon Marquez, Jose Quintana, Kyle Ryan, and Brad Wick. Catchers: Miguel Amaya, Victor Caratini, Wilson Contreras, P.J. Higgins, and Josh Fegley. Infielders: Javi Baez, David Bodie, Chris Bryant, Daniel Descalso, Rabel Garcia, Rubble, Nico Horner, Jason Kipnis, Christopher Morel, Anthony Rizzo. Outfielders: Albert Almora, Brennan Davis, Ian Happ, Jason Hayward, Ian Miller, Kyle Schwarber, Steven Souza Jr., and Mark Zagunis. Yep, and that's only 50.
Yeah, so it's divided into the summer camp in South Bend. Alzolay will be in South Bend. He's probably the most notable name out there in terms of pitchers. And then prospect Miguel Amaya. Rubel Garcia is going to be in South Bend, as well as Mark Zagunis. And then you got some other prospects that are notable, like Brennan Davis, Braylon Marquez. Dakota Mekas has kind of been trying to be a thing for a while. But you look at the summer camp roster at Wrigley Field, it's interesting because there really are no surprises there, but there's a lot of fringe guys. That's the thing. There's a lot of fringe guys where you say, okay, maybe not he'll make that initial 30-man roster, because when it starts, it's going to be a 30-man roster, and then it's going to be reduced. One of my questions is, are they going to carry 3 catchers to start? Because if you're going to do that, Josh Fegley would be your third guy, no question to me. You look at the infield and you think, yeah, those guys should make it. You look at the outfield, yeah, those guys should make it. I think Ian Miller is going to make the roster as well. He had a really good spring. He's a speedy guy. You could pinch hit him late in the game. And then you get to the pitchers. That's where really a lot of the mystery comes in. Will Jarrell Cotton be part of the team? Will Dylan Maples be part of the team? Casey Sadler, those are guys you kind of wonder about, as well as Dwayne Underwood. And Dwayne Underwood doesn't have any options left, so might be the time to say, hey, if he really has something that he can offer us now, let's see if he can. So, I mean, everything else, much of this seems pretty set in stone, in my opinion. It's just a lot of the fringe guys and prospects are really the ones we're asking about. And unlike the White Sox, the Cubs have pretty much their veterans established.
Yeah, and I don't even know if they need to carry that third catcher per se, because
I don't think they do either.
MLB, they put a rule in there for this season. They have a travel taxi squad that they're allowed to have, and one of the players on that taxi squad is required to be a catcher. So I mean, that's part of the rules that all these leagues are going to have to do this year, is have sort of a taxi or practice squad with, in the NFL's case, extra players on it, because what if somebody gets sick? What if somebody tests, even if they don't get sick, what if they test positive for COVID?
Right.
And they feel fine, but for everybody else's safety, they have to quarantine them for however many days they're establishing. So you need, it's not like an injury. It's not like any other season. You have to, where you could play through it. If they test positive, and it's automatic, boom, you're out for at least 2 weeks. And in this schedule, that's a good chunk of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably one of the reasons why the rosters are going to be bigger. And here's the thing: if you have number of guys testing positive, what's kind of the threshold for shutting down or replacing? It's because that thing could spread like wildfire.
Yeah. So I mean, once you have somebody test positive, they're just shut down. Like, I don't know where they're quarantining them or what the rules are, that they're doing, but they're not going to let them play until for that certain amount of time period. And with a 60 game season, they're probably playing almost every day. So if 2 weeks, you're missing, damn near a quarter of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, here's a few other questions that I think we could ask looking at this. How are they going to address second base? Now, we were wondering going into the season where Nico Horner was going to begin the season. And that's one of the reasons you got Jason Kipnis, is because wherever you were with Nico Horner, I think it was obvious to pretty much everyone that he's got a lot of promise, but he still needed some seasoning. And you need at least the safety net at second base who could do the job. And you have that in Jason Kipnis and David Bodie, really. But at this point, you got to say Nico Horner, what good would it do for him not being on the roster this season? In a short season where the minor leagues, I would think he would make the roster.
Yeah, I mean, we have a weird season, so I don't know why you wouldn't. Is Jason Kipnis like any good at this point? No, he's just a veteran.
Right.
You know he's going to go in there and give you a professional at bat and do the job
position.
Yeah, but at this point, like you don't have the minors. You need Nico Horner to develop. So I don't know why you wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. I think that you look at some of the other prospects too. I think there'd be a good chance that Adbert Alzolay would at least make it initially. And I don't think he'd be in the rotation necessarily. I'd probably put him in the bullpen, because I think, in my opinion at least, that they're going to stick with Tyler Chatwood to start the season as the fifth starter. Because, there was that whole competition earlier in the season, in the preseason, about the fifth starter. But right now, the signs to me point to Tyler Chatwood, but you could still use Adbert Alzolay in the pen to try to, at least get him more acclimated to the big leagues. Again, it's a weird season, so why not?
And Tyler Chatwood was the de facto guy to lose the job. Like, it was his to lose, because regardless of where anybody else sat, or where they were going to wind up, is Tyler Chatwood is the one with the most MLB experience. You have for good, bad, or otherwise, what you're going to get out of him, most likely. And so, he's been there, done that. And now that you can't have the open competition because, he's not good enough to warrant just handing him a rotation spot. But at this point, is there going to be a long enough evaluation period to say to somebody, oh yeah, we're going to take the spot away, unless he just goes out in these quote spring and falls flat on his face. So I just feel like it's his spot unless something just really bad happens.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I also wonder too, when we're looking at the rotation, everything else is pretty much set in stone, like who is going to be in the rotation. Is David Ross going to stick to his initial thought of Kyle Hendricks or Yu Darvish, or may he elect to go the John Lester route? I think he'll probably stick the route he was going to, but it's just when you're coming back from months of hiatus and you're kind of seeing what position these players are in, what shape they're in, how they look, things might change. But I think right now it's still probably a safe bet. It's going to be between Yu Darvish or Kyle Hendricks. That's my opinion.
I mean, it has to be. It has to be because here's the thing. Number one, if John Lester is anything, he is a man of routine. Mm-hmm. And where we are right now is the exact opposite of routine. And he's going to be thrown for a loop. He needs to know, he's used to starting on this date, doing it this, and this, and this, and everything's been thrown off. He's going to go out there. He's older. Sure, he's more well rested. He's more well rested. Sure, that's always a positive thing when he's 30 years old. But he's a guy that at this point needs all of the routine work in order to be at his best. And at his best is still a little tough to watch at times. I think you're going to get the most out of him by putting him towards the middle end of the order or the rotation. And you start with either Darvish or Hendricks. And then third is Lester. You probably get an easier matchup on the other side of the mound, and not have to worry about shutting everybody out. Have a little more relaxation in theory, but also less pressure on him. You make him that opening day starter on a short season. I don't know. I just think that's bad news.
Yeah, that's fair.
I much prefer, the two righties.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I can't disagree with you on that one.
Yeah, and I do love the lefty righty that you can do, but I think it's going to wind up righty lefty.
I could see it.
Because Quintana's not getting a top 3 spot.
No, I think he's pretty much slated as your 4.
Yeah, I mean, he's 4. That's where he is. So it's that 5th spot is the only one that's up for grabs, and I just can't see John Lester being that opening day starter.
Yeah, it's at this point it's different than it was a few years ago. Okay, now I think another conversation that is being had, and I think to me, it seems like something that most people are agreement on in terms of what they think is going to happen. We're going to have a DH. And yes. The easy answer is Kyle Schwarber. But I don't think he's going to be your lone DH. In fact, I think you're going to see a lot of DH time from Steven Souza. Yes, Steven Souza can slug the ball. He's had a 30 home run season. He's coming off major injury with his ACL and MCL. And let's face it, who would you rather have in right field, playing right field, him or Hayward? Obviously, yeah. Hayward.
And Kyle Schwarber last year was a perfectly average outfielder.
Yeah, he wasn't terrible.
He was early. Yeah, he wasn't a benefit like having Hayward over there. I mean, having Hayward in the outfield, but he wasn't, Chris Davis. He was he was a guy. He was like an average guy. So I would much rather have a young, for being a big guy, Kyle Schwarber is actually pretty athletic. And he showed much improvement in the outfield. So I would much rather leave a younger, more athletic guy who improved in the outfield than Steven Souza, who's old and coming off of injury. So yeah, sure you're going to see some DH by Kyle Schwarber. You'll probably see an outfield trio of Almora, Happ, and Hayward, because that's your best defensive, grouping, and then probably Schwarber is your DH. But I think you're right. I think Steven Souza is probably your DH most games to start.
You could also have some games where you put Anthony Rizzo there because he's had the back problem. So if his back is tightening up, you can keep his bat in the lineup and put him at DH. Maybe you put Wilson Contreras there so you could have his bat and allow Vic Caratini to catch. Those are going to give you a lot of options right there. I think that it's good that we have this many options, because when you look at it more and more, you realize, you know what? A DH really kind of benefits this team.
I think so. I really think so, because they do have you're right. They do have a lot of, we're not like one of those like staunchy AL teams where like this is our DH, boom, and we pencil him in every day. This team, you're going to see a lot of different guys take that DH position, and you're going to see a lot of different times when the DH is up and down the batting order too.
Yeah, exactly.
You might, depending on his back, you might see Chris Bryant do some DHing at some points.
Yeah, you know what I don't think we'll see a lot of this year is Bryant in the outfield.
No, I don't. I think that was a Joe Madden thing, and I would be shocked to see a lot of it. You might see it every once in a while if if somebody gets injured or I don't know what, but I'm really doubting you're going to see it.
Yeah.
You're going to see the vast majority of the games that Chris Bryant plays, he's going to be at third base.
Yeah, I agree.
So now that it's going to be 60 games, what are your expectations for the White Sox?
I think the White Sox have an opportunity to waltz their way to the playoffs, because you're going to play 40 games against your division, and then the rest is going to be against the division in the other league, so interleague. And the White Sox division sucks. They have a great opportunity to take advantage of a short season against a bad division where the expectations are not necessarily high. So with a combination of them being a young team and just this season being really weird, I just feel like there's not a lot of pressure on them. So they have no pressure on them, and they play a shit division. To me, that screams they could do really well.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see them, because with young teams, you typically see things as very streaky.
Yes.
And with a short sampling of a season, I think there's a good possibility that if they catch, the streaking in the right direction, couple with the division being not so good, and with a shorter season, you're also going to have the less of an opportunity for a team to catch up if you jump out ahead. A lot of times teams will jump out to an early lead at the beginning of the season if somebody's slow out the gate, and they catch up as the season goes on. After the All-Star break, things tighten up a little bit, but this is a short season. If somebody jumps out early and you stay in a good streak, it's 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 a possibility to run away with things. But on the other hand, because they are a young team, if they struggle out of the gate in the beginning of the season, they might just fade away because they're already behind, and it's tough to catch up sometimes. I could see either one, but I think there's just too many good young players on this team, and I'm really optimistic that you're going to see good things come out of them. At least they're going to score a lot of runs.
Yeah, I think so.
It's whether or not the pitching can hold up.
Right, and that was kind of the biggest mystery all along. I think the lineup seemed pretty safe. I mean, even when you have guys that don't have a lot of experience, you have the guys where they've at least proven to show that they're productive hitters. I mean, Jose Abreu should still be productive even though he's getting older. You saw what Yoel Moncada can do. If he could continue that, that's big. Tim Anderson could be big for you. You added Yasmani Grandal. He's one of the best offensive catchers in baseball. Eloy Jimenez and his power. I mean, that you have some producers right off the bat right there. And you added Edwin Encarnacion, who's probably going to be your DH most of the time. So, yeah, you're going to have some guys that are going to hit the ball out of the ballpark. You're going to get production there. And I think it's very, very easy to be optimistic about the bullpen, too. We've seen some promise from that bullpen. I think it's the rotation is where you get a lot of the mystery. Will Giolito continue what he did last year? Is Dylan Cease going to be healthy enough to pitch? Is Michael Kopech going to find it again after missing a season due to Tommy John? There's a lot of questions there, so I think that's where the biggest mystery comes in.
Yeah, is Carlos Rodon going to figure things out? There's a lot of good questions. A lot of good questions on the White Sox rotation, but I think, regardless, is watching those young hitters bat is going to be the fun part, and I hope there's a lot of primetime games for the White Sox or nationally televised games, because I think it's going to be a detriment to the league if you don't showcase the young talent that the White Sox have on this organization.
Right.
I mean, that's like the White Sox are, as far as national teams go, they're one of the forgotten teams. I bet
it doesn't help too that they haven't been good in a while. So
there's probably a lot of Yankees fans that are that forgot that the White Sox are a team, like just out of arrogance, and they don't play on it in nationally televised games.
Right.
So the Major League Baseball would be wise to instead of being the prime teams per se, the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Cubs on the nationally televised games, they should really try to market their young stars.
Oh yeah, they got to take every opportunity to do that. It'd be good for the team, it'd be good for the league, and good for the game.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how many East Coast baseball fans who know Mike Trout and could probably recite his stats, have actually watched him play a live baseball game.
Probably not a lot.
No, those games, if you're on the East Coast, are really late.
Yeah, they are.
If you're starting a game at 10 o'clock at night on your time zone, I'm not gonna lie, I follow Mike Trout's stats, but I follow them when I wake up in the morning. I watch highlights and read about what he did, like in the olden days. And I'm not staying up late to watch Mike Trout. Sure, he's arguably the best player of this generation, but I'm not staying up till 2 a.m. watching him play.
Yeah, it's time zones make that difficult, don't they?
They really do. They really do. So, I mean, I wonder, is Carlos Rodon going to be ready for?
I don't think
opening
so.
Game?
I don't think so. He might come back soon, but I'm not.
Because they were saying, I was reading an article on, I think Fansided, that was saying that somebody from the Sun Times was quoted as saying that they heard he would be ready by June. So, here we are at the end of June. So I don't know. I think that would be helpful for the White Sox, because even if he's not the guy that you thought he was, he's at least a veteran to throw in that rotation.
Yeah, he's something.
He's something, all right.
Something. Yeah, he's something.
So, have they guesstimated when the opening day is going to be?
Well, they said 23rd, 24th, so I'm waiting for them to announce like the schedules.
Yeah.
We know Yankees, Nationals are going to play. That's all I know.
So, it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird watching it because, there's not going to be fans the home games for the Cubs.
No. I was actually at Wrigley Field today walking around, and I'm just thinking, like, man, there'll be stuff going on here, but no one really here to watch it in person.
No, it's so weird. I just drove by the other day, and it was just like, it was so dead in Wrigleyville.
Yeah, it really was, because the other times I've gone, like, during when would normally be the season, it's been hopping, but today it was pretty dead.
Yep. Plenty of parking spots in Wrigleyville.
Yeah, even out in front of the marquee, there was, like, nobody around there.
It's nice for if you want to get pictures and stuff in the summer,
yeah.
And not in the winter. Yeah, it's super nice because, there's plenty of open space. You can go there and get your pictures, park. So it's actually nice because usually to get that kind of picture without everybody around and the hustle and the bustle, you either got to do it in the middle of the night or wait till there's snow on the ground. And now it's in summer and you could be out in your shorts and t-shirt and there's no one there.
Yeah. I peeped in. You could see a little bit of the inside of the actual park itself, and yeah, looks like they're grooming the field and getting it ready. So it'll be interesting to see if they're going to have a lot of video from like the workout. I'm sure they will. I don't know how much coverage there's going to be of it because you can only have so many people in a spot, but I'm sure there's going to be some of it.
I'm cautiously optimistic for baseball.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
All right, so I'm looking. The Patriots just signed Cam Newton.
Yeah, I just saw that. So he's going to win 12 games and then go to a Super Bowl.
How funny would that be if he put up Tom Brady numbers?
Yeah, then you'd say, was Brady really great or was it all Belichick?
You replaced a former MVP with a former MVP.
Yeah, exactly.
So now the quarterbacks for the Patriots are Jared Stidham, Brian Hoyer, and Cam Newton.
I keep forgetting Brian Hoyer's there. Former Bear great, Brian Hoyer.
Former Bear great. But yeah, with the NFL, we've got some news. They canceled the Hall of Fame game, so we know
Not
that.
surprising.
Not surprising because that was supposed to be in a little over a month.
Yeah.
So that was August 6th. It was supposed to be. So that's not that far away. And I really honestly feel you're going to see them push back the start of training camp.
Yeah, I think so too.
Typically, training camp opens up, the last few days of July. And I would be shocked if they opened up on time. So they haven't made that announcement yet, but I would be really shocked if they don't push that back. We're not going to see fans there this year.
No.
So, the Bears were already going. They were already pushing for, I think, less people there anyway. But you're not going to see any people there. You're probably going to see it pushed back. You're probably going to see less preseason games, which as fans, most fans are probably excited about that. But it's going to make it tougher for those fringe players to make a roster, because that's their time to shine. You can only see so much in practice, but you go see them out there in a game and see what they have. See what they do in special teams, see what they do like, or what they're like in actual game situations. And the Bears made it a point that they wanted to play their starters more in the preseason. So that's going to, if you're cutting the number of games they're playing in the preseason and you're adding more reps for the starters, you're really cutting into the bubble guys, their times to try to shine and prove their worth.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be hard to just get rid of, and I know there's revenue in that too, but I don't see any way they'd have crowds at preseason games, or at least full ones.
No, it sort of sucks is because it's going to become a tradition is that last home preseason game. I've been picking up cheap tickets and taking my daughter because she's excited to go, but she doesn't really care about the game so much. She just likes the experience of going to the game and seeing the crowd and, getting nachos and, all kinds of other ridiculous stuff. She likes going. She likes the hustle and bustle and seeing people in the jerseys and all that kind of stuff. And you can get tickets for like $10. So it's like, all right, I'll take her. The weather's good usually, because it's still the summer. We take the L in, so it's not like we have to worry about parking. We take the L and walk over, and she has a blast, and it's it's like daddy-daughter time, and we're gonna lose out on that this year on this one because it not gonna risk it. Even if they do have fans, I'm not gonna risk it. Going to a Bears game,
a meaningless one.
Yeah, a meaningless Bears game. It's just it's our fun thing. So that sort of sucks, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So I NFL. I think they're looking at things through the rose-colored glasses. I can't see this going like they planned and having full crowds of people.
I don't either. You look at the spikes you're seeing down in Florida, it just seems like a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you look, there's huge spikes in Texas. So Houston's exceeded their capacity at their hospitals. So California's not letting them. So 49ers, Rams, their Chargers, they're donezo. Like you're not having fans in those stadiums. I would be shocked if the Seahawks did. Arizona, you're seeing huge spikes. So Cardinals, I would be surprised. Packers, maybe. Wisconsin's opened up. I would be surprised if the Vikings, because especially since that's indoor. Bears, no. There's no way. Lions, maybe, because their governor signed off on fans at events.
Mm-hmm.
I think this past week. I would doubt if the Eagles or the Steelers are allowed to have fans because they've got some pretty strict shutdown rules in Pennsylvania. Texas has huge spikes. I don't know if the Cowboys are going to have fans. The Giants, I would be shocked. Redskins, wild card, who knows? The Saints, it's another wild card, maybe. I bet Falcons will have fans because the state of Georgia's opened that up. Buccaneers, they're in Florida. They're probably allowed to, but the numbers are bad. Same with Carolina, you'll probably see fans. Who knows about Baltimore? The Browns, who knows about the Bengals and the Browns? The numbers have been spiked in. So like, who knows what the Raiders are going to, depending on where they're playing. I don't even know where the Raiders are playing. If it's in Vegas, they could probably have fans, but if it's in California, no fans.
Yep.
So like, man, most of these teams, it's going to be weird if you have some stadiums that have fans and some that are just empty.
It will be weird. It definitely will be weird, but hey, you know what? Everything else is out of whack, so.
I'm just waiting to see what the different teams put in the seats. Because you're probably not just going to have empty seats. I saw like one league, they put like fake fans in there. And then I saw there was a musical performance that they did on the stage with no fans. They just recorded it, but they put potted plants in all the seats.
Yeah, that's weird. That's just, I don't know. That's like going to like Granny's and.
They should just do animatronic fans, or what they do with Tupac at Coachella, the virtual reality version.
You know what they should do? Since Chuck E. Cheese is going out of business, go to all the Chuck E. Cheeses and get the animatronic Chuck E. Cheese and Friends and put them in the stands.
You're too young. You don't remember Showbiz Pizza.
I do not.
So Showbiz was what was before Chuck E. Cheese, and they had an animatronic band, but it was like, you'd have to Google it. There was like Billy Bob, and then there was a giant gorilla in a gold glitter jacket that played the keyboard. And when Showbiz went out of business, like these animatronics just sort of went into storage. And I have been on a mission. I want to own one of those characters and just put it in my basement. I don't know what it's going to cost. I want it. I'm turning into a Veruca Salt. Like, I don't care. I want it.
That day.
I want it all. What's that?
That day. I want it.
Daddy, I want it all. I want the whole thing. I want one of those animatronic guys. And I know that Riot Fest in Chicago had the whole band one year, and they just had them playing Slayer, which was pretty hilarious. But, there's not that many of them out there. Like, if you search eBay, you can find, like, parts of the costumes and, parts of them. But to actually find a fully working animatronic one of the band, it's pretty hard.
Yeah. I bet.
Like if I win the lottery type things in my life, I would own the animatronic band from Showbiz Pizza, and I would also buy one of those things that they have at like the zoo and Sears Tower that spits out the wax sculpture.
Yeah.
It's real hot.
Yeah, I love those. I used to collect those all the time.
Yeah, I would own one of those. Like, I don't know why I would, but I just feel like if I had a lot of money, I would just need to own one of those. Impulse purchases. And a Papa Shot.
Those are all things I'd love to have.
So, the last couple things I have to talk about, you may have some more stuff, is so the Bulls are one of the 8 teams that is not continuing on in Orlando with the NBA season. So the question then becomes, what do those 8 teams do? Do they just sit home and do nothing? Which I know there's been outcries by those teams saying, "Hey, that's a other teams have a competitive advantage. We're not playing basketball. We're not doing any sort of organized team activities for arguably 9 months before the next season starts, between last game and the next game, and while other teams are playing in playoff atmosphere." That's not fair. I've seen some talks of having a tournament with those 8 teams or exhibitions with those 8 teams. And I think it would be cool if instead of having the draft lottery this year and have it chosen by the luck of a draw, is they had those teams play and compete for the number 1 pick.
Yeah, the whole thing is kind of messy. I feel like with a league, it either has to be everybody or nobody playing, but I totally get why there's a lot of mixed feelings right now. It's the NBA, it's quietly, because baseball was such a shit show, the NBA has quietly been kind of a jumbled mess itself for different reasons, obviously, but still.
It has been a complete, you're right, shit show. And you've got some players that don't want to play because of social justice unrest in this country. And I get that. There's talks that instead of having their names on the uniforms, they'll be able to have something else. Like a message or something like that. But you have players that just aren't on board to fully play, on top of the health crisis and having no fans, and it's tough. And I get the league wanting to limit the number of teams and players, because the more players you have, if you're letting in a team like the Knicks, who are just terrible, like they're doing nothing to add to the league other than adding additional risk of infecting somebody with COVID-19.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's multiple whammies, you know what I mean? It's
because the fear is, what
so
if
many
a team
things going on
that has absolutely no chance of competing infects LeBron James, and LeBron James can't play?
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That's real bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I get not having all of the teams participate, but they should have a second location where, the Knicks and the Timberwolves and the Bulls and the Hornets, Hawks, Cavs, Pistons. I'm missing some. Warriors. Who am I missing? Missing one or two, but those teams where they can compete. Have a second location, have a second campus. It's not going to have fans anyway, so you could do it somewhere more secluded. You don't have to have a major city. You could do it in an off city. You could do it in, I'm sure there's plenty of room in Las Vegas to do it. Where players would be like, I can go to Vegas. The weather's fine, and we can go out. But I just think it's a disservice to the teams that aren't invited, and I think at some point rest is good, but then too much rest becomes rust.
Yeah, that too.
And with you're seeing the other leagues deviate from how they normally do things out of necessity, but why can't the NBA do something where they deviate from having the draft lottery, and couldn't they have a situation where they do a tournament for the number 1 pick?
That would be interesting.
Or at least to increase your odds. All right, the Bulls have, I don't know, a 25% chance of getting the number 1 pick, or an 18% chance, or whatever it is. And if they win this tournament against the other bad teams, their percent goes up to 37 or 35. Like, that's incentive for the teams. The players are going to play, but it's incentive for the team to want to win. I don't know. I think that just adds some excitement, and you can add extra televised games.
Yeah, you could. how would that work though? Like, so the winner, like, you play for it. Like, you're saying you play for the pick.
Yeah. So you do like.
So it's like the opposite of tanking, basically. For like,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, it's opposite. It's opposite of tanking.
Yeah.
You do some sort of round robin tournament, best of 3 or best of 5 or something, and then, so it's still a shortened season for them, but then they're actually playing for something. Do like a couple of exhibition games and get everybody acclimated, and then boom, round robin tournaments in there. And I'm just I'm the guy with a microphone that just complains. I'm not trying to be this problem solver here. That's the NBA's problem. I'm just saying that what are these 8 teams going to do? Add some excitement in here. It's way more fun to see a championship game rather than watching a ping pong ball come out of a machine.
Yeah, I mean, it would give some entertainment. It would probably make them more money. It'd be a lot to set up in a short amount of time.
And plus, if the Bulls get to play meaningful games, we get more of Big Dave.
That's true. That's true.
Big Dave will be back. Big Dave will be to have something to talk about. And so we get more of that. So,
but we'd have to trust our lottery odds in a Jim Boylan-led Bulls team, probably.
We would have to have a Jim Boylan. That's the downfall of it. Is we would have to have a Jim Boylan-led team, unless they were just like, screw it, we'll just go coachless. Coach yourselves. Street ball. Call your own fouls.
Yeah, exactly.
But the NBA has the opportunity to shake things up a little bit and try to do something quirky and fun for this one season. Hopefully one season, and I think they're missing the boat on it.
I guess we'll see what happens. All I want is for the off season to like officially start for the Bulls, so we can really start to see some more progress on turning things over, because Jim Boylan's still here. He's still here.
Jim Boylan is still there.
He has not been trebucheted out just yet.
But because the NHL, they took a chance on doing something different. So they did their lottery, but they put that placeholder into the lottery. So the placeholder won the lottery. So you have teams that are actually going to play for the Stanley Cup that could, if they lose their first round, be in there for the number 1 overall pick. So the Blackhawks still have a chance of getting the number 1 overall pick, which would be amazing because the guy that's going to go number 1 is stupid good.
Of course it comes down to this. Of course it does.
So what the best is that Detroit won 15 games this year, and they got the 4th pick.
Yikes.
You know why that happened? Because Detroit sucks.
Imagine the Hawks getting the 1st overall pick after Detroit won 2 games.
I would laugh so hard. You would watch a collective city, their heads explode.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to see Detroit's collective head explode. And then the Blackhawks have Alexis. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it Lafreniere?
I think so.
Yeah, but he's stupid good.
I know he's good. I know that much. And I think most people at least know that much. Hey,
last season he was a 2.5 point a game player.
That's ridiculous.
his career in the juniors, in 173 games, he's got 114 goals and 183 assists. That one of those seasons he was a 15-year-old underager. So yeah, this guy is going to be really good. So if the Blackhawks get this number 1 pick, which is still stupid long odds to win, but if they did, man, they're setting themselves up for being good in a very short order.
Yeah, we could dream. It's technically possible, but it feels like a dream even though it's technically possible. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's I'm looking at what the odds are. I saw it the other day. I think it's like 12.5%.
Hey, it's better than like 2%.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's way better odds than the Bulls had when they got Derrick Rose.
Yeah, that was like what, 1.2% or something?
It was something.
1.7. I don't remember. It was like less than 2%.
Yeah, it was bad. So yeah, I mean, that's a realistic possibility. It's better than 1 out of 10. So, you've got a real possibility. You just got to lose to Ottawa.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know if you really have the like. I think Ottawa's gonna, have a lot to say in that. So, I would be very excited. So it's a win-win situation. If you're the Blackhawks and you beat Ottawa, then you get excited because you're like, oh man, we're in this. We made it to the next round of the playoffs. This version of the playoffs. But if you lose, you're like, oh man, we can get this superstar player. So it's a win-win for the Blackhawks, I think.
It's like, it's one of those situations where you want to go all out because things can get crazy, but if you don't expect to go all out, then say, you know what, let's just try to get that number 1 pick. You're going back and forth, racking your brain with it.
I mean, I'm going to root for them to win, but if they don't, I'm going to be a lot less upset than I would be because, normally if you lose in the playoffs, you just, you're in a crap draft position and you didn't win. So you're sort of in purgatory there. But this is the opportunity where if you lose, you're like, oh, we could have the number 1 overall pick. And it's a really good year to have a number 1 overall pick. So I'm not going to be upset either way.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'm trying to find this. Article I saw where it had the breakdown of what the odds were, but I can't find it. But I mean, it's fun to watch, and I'm excited about hockey coming back. They still haven't announced the hub city, but from what I'm reading, it's looking like it's going to be Vegas.
That was one of the rumors. Yeah, I mean, they were leaning towards that because they've been open for a while. I know Chicago was in the mix, but I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
Yeah, Sportsnet is saying that Vegas is the front runner, and Toronto and Edmonton are the next two cities. The next two cities likely to win one of the remaining bids. They also noted that it's likely East teams will stay in the East while West teams stay in the West.
Which makes sense, I guess.
And training camp is expected to start July 10th.
And those would be, what, at home rinks? Or their home training facilities?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're like 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks away from having training camp, which is going to be odd. Suddenly training camp in July. Everything's so weird. So weird.
Yeah, to say the least.
To say the least. And then I think that's all I really have to talk about. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up?
No, not really. Well, next time we talk, the spring training will have started, the camp at least.
Yeah. Then we'll have a little more to talk about, but right now it's kind of plans are starting to materialize of what these leagues are going to do. So we know baseball is going to be starting spring training soon. NHL is going to be starting training camp in less than 2 weeks. The NBA is going to be starting their most teams will be starting soon. That just leaves football in limbo, but they've still got time. The regular season doesn't start till September, so we've got close to 3 months to figure that out if what's happening there. And I think they get the luxury of seeing what the other 3 major sports are going to do.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to be in another position where, especially with NBA and NHL, where one is not going to want to start and the other not. It's going to be both or none. Again, it's a lot of that is going to depend on what happens, with the pandemic and everything, because we're seeing the spikes.
Yeah, I mean, people are like, "Oh, we're going to see a second wave." Look at the numbers. We're still in the first wave.
Yeah.
Illinois was doing fantastic, and they even had a big jump in the last few days. So it's, who knows what we're going to see, especially now that even the states that were more strict, like Illinois, they've opened up. You can go sit down at a restaurant now.
Yeah, that started what, Friday?
Yeah, Friday.
Yeah.
I went to pick up food twice in that time. Friday was my wife's birthday, and so we picked up food from a place she likes, and they were still not doing sit-down service. They were still doing delivery and takeout only. And today I went and grabbed lunch somewhere, and they too were not going to open for dine-in service until a future date. They were just going to do takeout and delivery. So they're allowed to. I don't know how many places are doing it, but I did drive past a place that had they had a walk-up window. It was a bar, and they had a walk-up window, and they were serving to-go cocktails, and the line was absolutely down the street and around the corner at like 1:00 in the afternoon for a takeout cocktail.
Yeah, you should have seen Dairy Queen last night. Just for Dairy Queen. Pull up.
Oh, yeah.
Like the line was down St. Charles Road.
Our Dairy Queen, the closest one to us, is right by Portage Park. And so you're at a major intersection of Central and Irving Park roads. And the drive-thru is weird. So it loops in. So where you come in and where you pull up to the building are on the same side of the building. So you don't go around, from one side of the building to the other, around the back. You don't cross over the building. So it's like the parking lot is on one side, and you enter through the parking lot, go through the drive-through, and then you drive up to the same side of the building. And it was so messed up because people were waiting from Irving Park to turn onto it, and you cross streams to try to get in and out. So people were blocked because they couldn't get out because the people trying to get in, and there was nowhere for anybody to back up because you'd have to have traffic back up down Irving Park. And it was and nobody could move forward because the people were in the drive-through lanes. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like, I ended up parking across the street because my wife wanted an ice cream cake for her birthday, so I was going to get an ice cream cake, and I was just watching this mayhem, and I was like, Yeah, this is why I parked across the street on Irving Park and walked over.
Heh.
And they're not doing walk-in service, but they told me when I called, they're like, yeah, you can come in to pick up the cake, so you don't have to go through the drive-through. So I just banged on the door, and the guy that was waiting at the drive-through, like in his car, started like honking and yelling at me. He's like, "You can't go in." And then I went in. I was like, got my ice cream cake. What up?
Hey, that's all that matters.
It's all that matters. Ice cream
Show
cake.
it as a symbol of triumph. You got your ice cream cake.
Got the ice cream cake, walked out, carrying it like it was the Stanley Cup, hoisting it over my head.
There you go. Just don't drop. It'd be funny if you made an ass of yourself and just dropped it.
Hey, listen, I do not drop ice cream. There's some very important things that rules that I follow in this life, and one is you hold on to the precious things, and one of those is ice cream.
You say that now. Next thing you know, you're gonna have a big tub of it, and you are just gonna fumble it, and it is gonna be splattered all over the black top of the of the store.
You will see me do some Matrix type moves, and that ice cream will be caught in my mouth. I'll do some kind of somersault, cartwheel, roll, tumble, and catch it in my mouth.
Well, you really should film that then, because people won't believe you.
They will if I tell them ice cream was involved. Ice cream is important, especially Dairy Queen. I like Dairy Queen, man. I do.
Oh, I love Dairy Queen. I love it so much. And, we're lucky to have a few by us.
I used to work at a Dairy Queen when I was in high school. And
really?
I was the manager for some reason. Like the guy who owned the Dairy Queen that I worked at, he graduated from college, and his mom got him a Dairy Queen franchise for his graduation gift. He did not want a Dairy Queen franchise. Like, what? He was like 22, 23 or whatever, and he's like, I don't want a Dairy Queen. I don't want to own a Dairy Queen. So he was never there. So he was just like, Sean, you be the manager. And I'm like, that's a mistake. You just made a 17-year-old kid a manager. So I had a key to the place. And I remember it was the Super Bowl that year. I'm like, you know what? I am going to go make myself a sundae. So I went and got him. I opened the store after they closed, and with a mixing bowl, like an actual cake mixing bowl, and made the biggest sundae you've ever seen. The sundae was like 15 inches tall. And I just put all of my favorite toppings on there. I put like a whole entire can of whipped cream on it and like 19 cherries. And I was like, all right. And then I went home with my giant sundae and just sat on the couch and watched the Super Bowl. Because I had the key, and nobody could stop me.
And as in Super Bowl, you mean like the Bears Super Bowl year?
No, it would have, this would have been...
I was going to say, you seemed a little...
It was a 49ers... who was that? Let me see. So it would have been the 49ers Chargers. 95.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you were like a kid when the Bears won the Super Bowl, so that's why I was kind of confused.
Oh, no, I was a kid when the Bears won the Super Bowl. So this was 95, so it was the Chargers and 49ers. But I still watched the Super Bowl with my giant sundae.
I just picture that one Simpsons episode where Homer's trying to make good with Lisa, and he gets her that massive sundae that's like 8 feet high.
That's pretty much what it was. Except I walked around like I was Homer Simpson from the chili eating competition.
Oh my God.
I heard he carved that spoon out of a bigger spoon.
That might be like my favorite episode of all time.
The first half of that episode is the greatest episode of all time, because the second half is just gets a little weird. But that first half of that is arguably the greatest Simpsons episode ever.
I love the part where the tortoise is walking. Follow the what? tortoise. Come on, come on. He kicks it. And then you need me to climb that? No problemo. Oh, this is because I kicked you, wasn't it?
That Homer Simpson thinks he's the Pope of Chili Town.
Hey, everybody. It's the big baby. Oh, this porridge is too hot. Oh, wah, wah, wah.
Don't quit your day job, Chief. Whatever that is. Daddy, are you going to jail?
We'll see, son. We'll see.
Oh, the 5-alarm chili. One.
Only one alarm, 2 alarm tops. I just want to be a big man in front of the kids.
Why is Marge? Where's my chili-eating boots?
I picture you have those, but for Sundays.
It's my Sunday-eating boots.
And your marinara pasta sauce.
And a nacho hat.
And a nacho hat. Nacho man. I got to be a nacho man.
Do you like beer? Do you?
Yes, Mr. President.
Why is The Simpsons so good?
And we're talking like seasons 3 to 8. I mean, seasons 3 to 8 were just goldest of gold.
Yeah, I'm so glad I have the Disney Plus so I can watch every episode of The Simpsons.
Oh, I know. It's great.
Like, I'm sure I told the story on there, is when Disney Plus went live, it depending on your time zone, it didn't drop live for everybody at the same time. So like for here, it went live at like 4 a.m. And I set my alarm, woke up at 4 a.m. to watch the Australia episode.
Oh yeah.
And I texted my best friend and I was like, you're probably sleeping, but I'm up watching the Australia episode. And he's like, yeah, me too. It's like, this is why we're friends.
Yes. What do you think was the first great Simpsons episode?
Oh man, it's tough to say because I'd have to go back because I haven't watched them like in order in a long time, so like I forget like what seasons each episode they would have occurred in. So I'd have to like do a little digging, like what seasons they happened in. But
I think one of the I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying there's just so many episodes and to lump them into or figure out what season that they're in.
Yeah, it is hard. I think going back to one of the earlier seasons, I think one of the first great Simpsons episodes, at least one of them, might not be the first, but one of them, was Flaming Moe.
Yeah. And I remember as a kid watching them on the Tracy Ullman show.
Oh, that was like, what, 1989?
It was a long time ago. I was a kid, and I was like, this is funny. And then I was like, oh, man, they're getting their own TV show. And, the rest is pretty much history. Trying to, the Cape Fear episode was good.
Oh, that's got to be a top 5.
Trying to think of
Camp Krusty's a good one. I was just watching Camp Krusty.
Camp Krusty. Homer at the bat. That's an early one.
That was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that one's season 3. So
yeah,
that could be one of the first great episodes.
Yeah.
Trim those sideburns. Mattingly, trim those sideburns.
I still like him better than Steinbrenner. You know, the first person to be asked to do that was Ryan Sandberg, and he didn't do it.
Man, how awesome would that have been?
I know, right? To have Ryan Sandberg in there? That would have been great.
That would have made it so much more special.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was an early one. I'm sure. What about the first Treehouse of Horrors?
Oh yeah.
So that was probably like season 2.
That was the one. One of those was they were in the house, and it had was Was it like that vortex to another dimension or something? Like it was haunted. It was like on an Indian burial ground or something.
Yeah, I think so. Monorail. Monorail might have been one of the first great episodes. That was probably season 3.
Was that that early?
It was either season 3 or season 4.
It might have been season 4. I'm not completely sure.
So Monorail might have been Monorail.
The one where Flanders fails. That's a good one.
Yeah, but it had to have been of the great episodes, like the classics. You're probably looking at season 2 or season 3.
Yeah,
because that show just, man, it hit a stride, and then every episode was just so good for a bunch of seasons.
Homer Goes to College. Is that season 5? I don't remember how early that is, but that's an all-time great.
Nerds!
Do we have to stay? No. Then kiss my ass. Goodbye. Oh, let's just say I had help from a little white fox.
Oh, man. So good. So good.
Oh, you know what? Another one I was just watching recently? The one where they add Poochie and Homer's the voice of Poochie. And it ends, Poochie died on his way back to his home planet.
Pray for Mojo. Pray for Mojo.
And you know what else is great about those early Simpsons, those golden eras? They had a lot of great songs in them.
Who needs the Quickie Mart? I
Their
do.
Their floors are sticky mart. My friend and I could recite "See My Vest."
Made of see my vest. I quote that all the time. Anytime
Made from real gorilla chest.
Anytime in my house somebody mentions a vest, the Pavlovian reaction is made of real gorilla chest. Every time. You cannot mention any sort of vest in this house without somebody talking about a gorilla chest. That's how much I quote that song.
Like my loafers, former gophers.
See my vest made of real gorilla chest.
Oh, you know what one of my all-time favorite Simpsons songs is? Why am I blanking on the name of the Secret Society? Who holds back the electric car? Who makes Steve Gutenberg a star? You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, it was
the
Stonecutters.
Stonecutters, yes.
Yeah, that was probably season 6 or 7.
Yeah, I was somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And now you must go through getting hit on the swollen ass.
I like the Barbershop Quartet episode.
Oh, the B Sharps?
Yes. Baby on board, how I adore.
Baby on board. Well, you can't blame a guy for trying. You're all under arrest.
My daughter always, I don't think she's ever seen The Simpsons other than the short that they played before, was that the last Pixar movie, Homeward or Onward?
Mm-hmm.
And they did the Simpsons short. Other than that, she's never seen it, but she's heard me quote it enough that she's always like, Principal Skinner and Mrs. Krabappel were in the closet making babies, and one of the babies looked at me. The baby looked at you? Dancing Homer.
Dancing Homer, what was that? Was that a name of an episode?
That was Tony Bennett did the song. I'm drawing a blank on the how it went, but it was but yeah, it was Tony Bennett. The Tony Bennett song. God, I'm gonna have to look that one up now. I'm trying to think. See My Vest was a good song.
The Garbage Man Can. That's a good one.
Yeah, the We Do by the Stonecutters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking. That was season 6. Baby,
I like
Baby on Board was season 5.
that was season 5. Yeah. I like when Lisa and Bleeding Gums did the cover of Jazzman at the end of that one episode when he dies.
Oh yeah, Lisa, it's your birthday.
Oh, the
Happy
Michael
birthday,
Jackson one.
Lisa.
Yeah. Yeah. Was that what, season 4?
Oh, what about the Planet of the Apes song?
Oh, Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius. That's a great one.
The lyrics with the chimpanzee to the chimpanzee.
You'll never make a monkey out of me. Oh my God, I was wrong. It was Earth all along.
Oh my God, that is so good. There's so many good songs from The Simpsons.
There really are, and I'm sure we're missing a ton of them right now, just thinking off the top of our head. I mean, the Flaming Moe's theme song, that was a spoof off Cheers, is pretty funny.
Yeah. Monorail's still a great song.
Monorail.
Monorail. The top came off my pudding can. Use this penknife, my good man. I just like Chief Wiggum is just sitting there with a pudding can.
I gotta look up a list.
Wait, Mr. Plow.
Call Mr. Plow. That's my name.
The
That
name
name again
is
is
Mr.
Plow. That might have been the first like all-time great Simpsons episode when you think about it.
That was from season 9.
Was that wait, that was that late? I thought that was much earlier.
According to consequenceofsound.net, that is season 9.
Wait. It says season 4. That's season 4, episode 9.
Huh. They have an error on this then.
Yeah, because I was going to say, that episode was much, much older than that.
Mr. Plow is a loser, and I hear he is a boozer.
Senor Plow, el es mucho. Yeah, you do that.
Yeah, according to Consequence of Sound, their top 10 songs from The Simpsons are Homer's Hat Dance. That's the Nacho Man. Monorail. Who Needs the Quickie Mart? Mr. Plow. I don't remember this one. We're Sending Our Love Down the Well.
Oh yeah, that's
the
Stinging
kid
It.
was stuck in the well.
Bart's prank.
I like Bart. I won him in a truth-telling contest 2 towns over. See My Vest, Lisa's Birthday Song, Dr. Zaius, We Do, the Stonecutters song, and Talkin' Softball.
We're talking softball from Maine to San Diego, talking softball. Mattingly and Canseco, Ken Griffey's grotesquely swollen jaw. Steve Stackson is running with the law.
Simpsons is so good. I'm going to go and watch. I still have my Disney Plus, so I'm going to go watch. I'm going to start watching on like season 2.
That's the best place to start.
Yeah, season 1, you're just like, all right, this is setting the groundwork, but man, season 3 was just like right off the bat. And,
Oh yeah.
And then for just like a decade was just great.
I love the Mr. Plow rap. Boom, 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 boom. I'm Mr. Plow, and I'm here to say I'm the plowingest guy in the USA. He turns his hat sideways.
Oh my god, it's honestly it's hilarious. I'm like we're in like the golden age of television, of streaming television, so I can watch whatever I want whenever I want, and I'm like, there's so many good shows that I have not watched, and I'm like, ooh, what should I sit down and watch? And I'm like, I've never watched Mad Men. I've never watched, here's all these shows everyone says I have to watch. I'm like, I'm just gonna watch The Simpsons and The Office again.
Dude, I've been binging The Office again. I've seen every episode a million times. I don't care. I'll rewatch it over and over.
The best is the second time they go back to Karen Filippelli's branch.
Utica, that one?
When they go back, when it's Michael and Pam.
Oh, he gives the lecture.
Give the lecture. And if you look, while he's giving the lecture, if you look through the glass into the next room, you can see the copy machine is chained to the wall, and it says, please report any suspicious activity.
I never noticed that.
It is the things you notice when you go back and rewatch, because like I would never have known that, and then I rewatched it, and I just like, usually I have it on the background and I just like laugh at I know what happens visually, and I just happened to sit down and watch, and I was like, wait a minute, is that the copy machine chained up? And then I'm rewinding and I'm looking and I was like, is that a sign that this is asking about reporting suspicious activity? I was like, that's
hilarious.
That is somebody just earning their paycheck.
I think one of my all-time favorite Office episodes was the two-parter that aired after the Super Bowl where Stanley has the heart attack. That whole season, that whole sequence with the fake fire, when Oscar is trying to climb through the ceiling and his legs keep popping out, and Michael breaks the window and yells, "Help!" just really loud.
Oh, that's super good. But I read that they're not going to play the one Christmas episode ever again. The one where where Dwight is talking about the German traditions, and they were like,
"Oh, der Schnickel."
Yeah, and they were like, it's like, no, wouldn't do that. And then you see his friend coming in blackface from the parking lot, walking through.
Oh yeah. That was after Michael left, I believe.
Oh my goodness. Or the one Christmas episode where Michael and Andy pick up the waitresses from Benihana.
Oh my God.
And she goes to take the nutcracker, and she's like, what's her name? Angela's like, I don't go to your house and steal your Hello Kitty backpack.
Jim, what are they talking about? Oh, Cindy's trying to wonder how to properly butcher a goose, but she can't figure it out. Cindy, hold its neck back, make an insertion under the jaw right across, and there's going to be a lot of blood and guts.
Get a bucket.
Get a bucket.
For the blood and the feathers.
Or the Office episode the Christmas episode where Meredith gets really drunk and they have that party and her hair lights on fire.
I like the one where they're complaining that her like dress is too low and her boobs are hanging out. So she pulls it up, but then you can see her like, you can see everything below, and they're like, pull it back down. She's like, make up your mind.
Oh my God, if you're wearing a dress, cross your legs. Nobody wants to see that. Oh my
God. My wife went to Cornell, so every time there's a Cornell reference, it's like, Cornell. I went to a little college called Cornell. Maybe you heard of it?
You know, I actually have an Andy Bernard mug. You know those mugs with like the characters' faces on them with the star?
I have a friend who owns an actual Dwight shirt that he wore in an episode, like the actual shirt.
Really?
Yes. One of like the short sleeve button down shirts.
Is that your friend that like is like the set dresser or whatever?
No. I don't know where he got it, if it was an auction or what, but he owns it. So he's got it framed up, and I'm like, that's amazing. I need a Dwight shirt.
I have a Bears Beats Battlestar Galactica shirt, but not one actually worn by Dwight.
Bears beat Battlestar Galactica. That was the best opening sequence. Either that or the one where they put his all his stuff in Jell-O.
Oh yeah, that's the classic. That's the one that's based on the UK version.
Have you ever tried watching the UK version?
I watched the first episode.
I tried to watch it. I just don't get it. It's not as funny.
It's different. It's different.
Like I just couldn't get into it.
Well, if you watch that and you watch the first season of the U.S. Office, you can tell that they were trying to base it off that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the same.
It is.
Like and then the U.S. version sort of, took its own path. But man,
it kind of had to.
The Office, really went downhill towards the end. But man, there was several seasons where it was just every episode was just fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes I just play, like, rather than just play them in order, I bought them on iTunes. So I'll just like randomly pick an episode. I'm like, pick a season, pick an episode. And I just know it's going to be great if I pick it, anytime before their wedding.
Yep.
It starts to go downhill from there. And then when Michael Scott leaves, you get a little...
Yeah, it really went down after that.
I like the episode where Michael Scott goes to the Diwali party and tells his girlfriend that it was a costume party and she comes dressed as a cheerleader.
Oh yeah, you said this was going to be a costume party.
You're like, Kelly, what is Diwali?
It's this awesome.
It's amazing to think that Ryan and Kelly were like two of the head writers from the show.
Yeah, they did a lot of episodes, and I know John Krasinski directed a few. So did Steve Carell.
I think Toby was one of the writers too. Because
he was.
I saw a behind the scenes thing that was like he didn't even want to be a character, but they were like, "You have to be. You have to do this character." And it was only supposed to be like a couple of episodes or like one episode, and it was received so well that he had to become a recurring character.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, not really.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, TuneIn app, Google Play, Spotify, anywhere the major podcast places. Also follow us on social media at ShyFanPat1, at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com. Again, thank you guys so much for listening. Please share this podcast. That's how we grow the show. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her, you can have her, she's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van, and she looks like...
Remember, New Yorkers, smoking crack is not legal on the plains. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears!
Oh, when the Bears go Bears.